The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Boulder City, on your new fire apparatus, job number 33785. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting just under the front bumper, you'll find two open-ended tow hooks on the passenger and driver's side frame rail. Up onto the face of the bumper, you'll find the electronic siren PA speaker. Moving just inward of that location, you'll find dual air horns. Directly in the center, you'll find your mechanical siren. Moving up onto the extension, you'll find your front inlet, large diameter. Just to the right of that in the image is where you'll find the tray storage for that hose. Moving over to the driver's side, you'll find a tray storage location with an 1.5-inch swivel discharge just inside. Moving up onto the cab face, you'll find turn indicator on the right and left side. Just inside of that location, you'll find your headlight structure housing the low and high beam headlights. The high beam is the headlight on the inside. Moving up, you'll find emergency warning lights. Located directly behind the Pierce logo is where you'll find the latch for the hood release. Moving up onto the seamless one-piece windshield, you'll find 3 windshield wipers. As we move to the outer edge, you'll find your mirror housing a flat and convex and an upper portion convex mirror. Moving up to the brow of the apparatus, you'll find your clearance lights. Located directly in the center, you'll find a forward-facing floodlight. Moving up to the roof, you'll find emergency warning lights. And then just above that location, you'll find on a slight angle 2 passenger and driver's side-facing scene lights. Let's take a look at the side of the vehicle. On the bumper extension, you'll find emergency warning lights. Moving to the side entry points, you'll find grab handles that have keyed locks, in addition with also a grab handle for ease and effort for firefighters in and out of the cab. Let's take a look at some close-ups of the items that we just talked about. First, starting with the large diameter front inlet, there is an air bleeder located just to the right of that location. As we move to the driver's side, you'll find the slam latch allows you to gain access inside for a swivel discharge 1.5 inches. Moving behind the Pierce logo, you'll find the latch allow you to open the hood. As we move to the very top, you'll find the clearance lights and also emergency warning lights. Headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights. As we move to the side at the entry point in the step, you'll find an air location for air inlet. Let's now move to the driver's side. Just to the rear of the door is where you'll find your shoreline inlet. This is a 20-amp shoreline inlet. You also have a department logo on the door. Moving now to the side, you'll find emergency warning lights just above the notch of the puck. And as we review some of the items here, let's talk about some safety items. This is a do not mix foam consistencies or brands for fear of foam failure, and also do not ride on the side of the vehicle. And there's also a pressure warning hazard regarding caps may be under pressure when opening them. Let's start here first with the 2.5-inch discharge, number 1 and number 2 discharges. Because of those electronic valves, they do have overrides associated with them. As we move to the auxiliary foam location, there are instructions just below. Also moving to the center behind the American flag Eagle Pierce logo is your large diameter pump intake. As we move to the very bottom, you'll find all of your drains color-coded and also labeled. Moving just to the right, you'll find your driver's side auxiliary inlet. This is a 2.5-inch female inlet. Let's move now just above the notched area. You'll find this warning label, possible entanglement because of those hoses. And then you'll also find the 2 releases to allow you to release the 2 speed loads.
As we look at the speed loads, you'll find on the left the number 1 cross lay and then a 2.5-inch cross lay. As we move to the very top, you'll find an additional cross lay, 1.5 inches, and then just to the left you'll find board storage locations for your EMS backboards. Let's go ahead and move now to the top of the pump panel area. If you've properly engaged your pump from inside the cab, you'll find this light illuminating, which is indicating OK to pump. Let's go ahead and cover some of the other items here. First, you have your pump intake master gauge on the center location. Moving just to the right, you'll find your pump discharge. These are your 2 master gauges. Moving to the upper right-hand corner, you'll find, if illuminated, your PCM fault. It is the amber indicator. Moving just down from that location, you'll find an audible alarm. The outer edge of that bezel does have the ability to dampen the sound if necessary. Moving just down from that location, you'll find your vacuum and pressure test ports. They're currently plugged. Let's move to the engine information in the gray area. You'll find oil, water, volts, and fuel indicators. Moving to the very center at the top, you'll find an amber if illuminated check transmission. Moving to the right, if illuminated, it would be an amber is a check engine light. And then if illuminated, it would be in red is the stop engine. You also have ancillary information regarding oil, battery, water temperature, and fuel located on both sides. As we move to the discharge, you'll find your discharge color-coded and labeled across the very top section. There are 4 of them located here. As we move to the red module, this is your Pierce Husky 12 foam system. You do have a green light indicating power and also a orange page allowing you to scroll through the various page. You do have a yellow foam switch, a blue enter, and then also an increase or decrease, which will be in the green. As we move to the right, you'll find your fire pump primer. There are instructions for priming for best practices, at least 1,000 RPMs. As we move down, you'll also find an indicator for the amount of foam in your foam tank. Let's move to the right where you'll find your Pierce pressure throttle governor. If illuminated, it would be yellow. It would be a check engine light. Located in the center, you'll find a digital readout for the RPM. And then moving to the right, if illuminated, it would be a stop red engine light. Just beneath that, you'll find engine diagnostic information below, in addition with pump temperature. Let's move further down now where you'll find the water gauge level indicator in blue, and to the right you'll find a red audible silence alarm. As we move further down in the orange, this is the menu button allowing to scroll through the various menu functions. There are 2 options, either pressure control or throttle control RPMs. How you make that selection is the blue control module down in the lower left-hand side. Once you've made that selection, you should be able to read a throttle ready green indicator located in the center. If you choose, you can preset pressures with the green indicator. Moving downward, you'll find your throttle. Increase, turn to the right. Decrease, turn to the left. If you'd like to move to the idle position, push directly in the center on the red idle button. Let's take a look at the minimum operation maintenance schedule for your vehicle. You have on the left-hand side the associated GPMs. Directly in the center, the 150, 200, and 250 PSI, and then the RPMs on the right. Down at the bottom, you'll find your Husky 12 foam system specifications. As we move down, there are 6 electronic valves on this side, the control. You can see the 3 on the left and also 3 on the right. Moving to the far right-hand side, you'll find your deluge discharge. There is a pressure gauge at the top and then also an indicator as to the valve's location, open or close. Just beneath that, a warning label that only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment and only after they received proper training. Up in the very top, there is the recirculating line. This is a twist, not a pull. And then just beneath that, you'll find your tank fill and tank to pump. Let's move further down from the location that we're currently in to the intake relief valve. We'll talk about that in just a few moments. You also have all your associated and color-coded drains. The very top ones are going to be twist, not pull. As we move back over to the intake relief valve, you can see instructions on how to operate. And then as we move to the right, you'll find the pan door. Behind that pan door is your foam fill operations. The yellow handle coincides with the instructions on the back of the door. As we move down lower, you'll find the manual pump shift override. It is a protected switch and also an amber indicator when it's actually been switched to the on position. As we move to the left-hand side of the pump panel, you'll find all your associated scene lights and also air horn. And moving further up on that same side, you'll find your TFT monitor operation station. This controls your monitor system. Just inside the compartment, you'll find when plugged into shore power, this will activate this outlet, engaging your auto charging system for your batteries. It will also engage your air compressor to maintain brake pressure. Let's take a look at some of the compartments on the outside of the vehicle. First, SCBA bottle storage location has retaining straps and also an oxygen location. As we move just over the rear tire, you'll find additional storage. There is a tool board located in this compartment. The D handle will allow you to open it. Once it's been opened and it's in the full open position, the latch will actually lock, maintaining its position. To restore that, all you have to do is simply just release the latch mechanism, and it allows the door to actually close. Let's move now down to the fuel area. The silver is going to be your ultra low sulfur diesel fuel. That's the silver cap. The blue cap will be your DEF, which is your diesel exhaust fluid, and it's a 4.5 US gallon tank. As we move to the rear compartment, you'll find a tool board. It does have a release on the lower section. There are also a shelf at the very top, two release mechanisms. To gain this, it will pull out and drop downward, a fixed shelf, and then also a pull-out tray. The right-hand side has the release mechanism for that tray. As we look to the front and rear of the rear axle, you'll find your wheel chocks. Let's take a look at the rear of the apparatus, where you'll find your brake, turn, and reverse lights. Moving upward from that location, on the left-hand side or driver's side, you will find your ladder. There are two release mechanisms to allow your ladder for operational purposes. There are also some warning labels here to avoid any pinch hazards. As we move to the center, you'll find the rear scene lights and hosebed light switches. And then at the very center location, you'll find these warning labels regarding do not ride on the side of the apparatus or rear, and also there is a fall injury warning. At the very top, we do have a warning label here regarding entanglement because of those hoses coming from above. Directly in the center, just above the Pierce logo and the traffic advisors, where you'll find your backup camera, and then you'll also find your traffic advisor across the very center section. As we move to the rear, I would like to point out in this roll-up compartment door, adjustable shelving, but in the upper right-hand corner is where you're going to find your powered equipment rack. This is to gain access to your ladders. There is a danger label here and also instructions on it how to raise and lower. Just a general view of the rear section of your apparatus. Let's go ahead and move now to the rear section upper portion, where you'll find long tool storage. In addition, on the opposite side, you'll find your hose bed storage with 3 hose dividers. As we move to the far left-hand side, you'll find your 10-foot folding ladder. Let's go ahead and move up now to the roof area or top of the vehicle, where you'll find these yellow diamonds indicating the edge of the walkway area for firefighter safety. Inside the hatch compartments, you're going to find dry deck material and also LED lighting. As we move to the dunnage area, you'll find your top fill location for your water tank. Just to the right of that location, you'll find your foam fill. This is going to be for Class A foam. You also have a warning label on this indicating do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for a possible foam failure. Let's move once again just forward in the dunnage area, where you'll find your master stream device. There is top controls available for that too. As we move to the left, you'll find your hydraulic oil reservoir. This is for your Husky 12 system. Let's go ahead and take just a general view here of the top section. You'll find the, once again, master stream device. As we move to the right-hand side, you'll find your ladders located at the very top. As we move to the cab section, you'll find this is a non-walking surface. That's why we've displayed these two indicators here for not walking. It is not firefighter safe because of slip hazard. As we move to the rear section, looking from the front to the rear, you'll find your dunnage and also your closed hose bed storage. Let's move down to the side. This is the passenger side of the vehicle, and we'll start with some of the items within this area. First, in the very rear compartment, you'll find tool boards located in the rear. They do have the ability to pull outward, and the release mechanism in the lower right-hand side. You also have, when plugged into shore power, a 20 amp outlet located in the rear section of this compartment. As we move just over the rear wheels, you'll find SCBA bottle storage locations with retaining straps for each of those SCBA bottles. You do have an additional compartment above, which houses also a pull-out and tilt-down. in addition with a racked system for additional SCBA bottles. As we move just to the forward location, you'll find a pull-out tray which also has a tool board located on it, the release mechanism on the lower right-hand side. As we look at this image, in the upper right-hand corner, you'll find 12-volt access. This is a barrel-style 12-volt access location. Let's go ahead and move now just forward of this location. You'll find this warning label. This is the cutout notch area of the puck assembly. This is a warning not to ride on the side of the apparatus. And then we also have, once again, a pressurized hazard warning regarding the caps may be under pressure and be cautious when removing them. As we move to the passenger side, you'll also find a 2.5-inch discharge electronic valve, which it does have an override, and then also your large diameter, which is green, discharge, and it does have an override also. Just underneath that, you'll find the front inlet drain, and then all of your color-coded, labeled discharge drains. As we move now just to the front section of the housing, we'll talk a little bit about some of the items here. First, let's start with the large diameter pump intake. It is the Pierce American Flag Eagle. You'll also find your water strainer and then also a 2.5-inch auxiliary inlet. As we move to the puck location here for your crosslay or speed load, you'll find the same configuration as you do on the driver's side. Let's move now to the cab of your apparatus. Let's identify a few items here. As we move just inside the cab, you'll find on all points of entry, you'll find these warning labels affixed to the door panel. As we move inside, there are two storage compartments, rear facing. There is 12-volt access and also shore power access located within inside these compartments. As we look to the rear, you'll find two fold-down seats, one on the passenger and one on the driver's side. Looking overhead, you'll find your David Clark headset system with your two headsets on the passenger and driver's side. Looking to the rear section, at the rear portion of the engine, you'll find a 12-volt USB access point. You'll also find access to the rear of the engine. This is where you'll do your daily checks for oil and transmission checks. You do have the ability to fill from these locations. Looking overhead, this is going to be your David Clark headset system. This is for the officer position. There's also one for the driver position. Just behind the driver's seat, you'll find an audible speaker. This is for your backup camera for communication so that the driver can hear the communications from the person in the rear section. Also on the passenger side, you'll find one 20-volt, 20-amp access. This is when plugged into shore power. You'll also find, as we move to the cab officer's position, a point of entry, so you're going to find those labels affixed to the door panel. Your vehicle is also equipped with a supplemental restraint system, an airbag, and that's what the SRS is indicating. There is information here on not to mount anything within this area. As we look to the very top section, you'll find 12-volt barrel style and then also a shoreline outlet. Moving just to the rear section of that location, you'll find your air horn, mechanical siren, and a push-to-talk for your radio. As we move to the center section, you'll also find 12-volt access, USB, and barrel style, and your vehicle data recorder. Overhead, you'll find push on and off red and white lights, and on the officer side, you'll also find this switch panel housing the driver's side cab scene, driver's side body scene, passenger side body scene, passenger side cab scene, front flood, and also the rear scene lights. The lights will illuminate around the outer edges when they've been depressed. You do have two future switch locations if necessary. As a general view inside the cab, you can see your David Clark headset system, and as we move to the driver's area, you'll find affixed to that door panel all of your safety warning labels. We'll also find your mirror and window controls, your window controls on the door panel, and then also your access for lock on the left. As we move down to about the right ankle area, you'll find this yellow placard. This is manufactured by Pierce. This houses information on the date of manufacture, the 5-digit job number. It also has gross vehicle weight ratings, cold tire inflation, your VIN number, and then all of your component, fluid capacity, and fluid types for your apparatus. As we move to the seat nearest the driver's area, you'll find the auto charge status symbol when plugged into shore power that will activate. On the floor, you'll find your air horn and mechanical siren foot pedals. At about the left knee, you'll find your tech module. and also your ABS, transmission, and diagnostic ports. This is for serviceability. You'll also find on the right your display monitor, and just beneath that you'll find ABS diagnostics, engine diagnostics, regen inhibit, and DPF regen. Those are the 4 switches down in the lower section. Let's go ahead and move upward from this location to the left-hand side of the dash, where we'll start with the master battery switch. It is a quarter turn on and off. And then as we move further up, you'll find your hazard, ignition, and start switches. Just inside of that location, you'll find your headlight, emergency master switch, and also a panel switch, which allows you to brighten or dim the panel lights. As we move to the steering wheel, you'll find your vehicle is equipped with supplemental restraint system and airbag located inside the steering column. You do have steering controls here on the left-hand side for components, and also emergency and windshield wiper components. As we move to the dash area itself, let's start on the lower left-hand side, first starting with your transmission, oil, DEF level, and water temperature. And on the right-hand side, you'll find your volts, fuel, front and rear air. Located in the center, you'll find your tachometer and speedometer. Informational diagnostic information will display above and below the speedometer. As we move to the right of the column, you'll find your OK to engage the high idle switch and a light indicating that it's been engaged. As we move to the right, we'll identify a few items within the driver's purview. First, the yellow system parking brake, pull to apply, push to release. You also have a Pierce command zone, tremendous amount of information right here at your fingertips. Your Allison transmission pad with an informational note here to pump in neutral. You do have 2 switch panels located. We'll go over those in just a few minutes. And you have your mirror control and also your AM/FM CD weather band radio. Let's go back first to the left-hand side of the image where we'll start with your pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. Just next to it, you'll find a radio push to talk. Your Allison transmission pad with a note pump in neutral. And then as we move to the right, you'll find electronic siren and siren brake and additional future switches if necessary. As we move down to the next switch panel, you'll find your engine brake on and off switch, settings for low, medium, and high for the engine brake, an informational display whether you're okay to pump and roll, your water pump, foam system, and mirror heat switches. All of those will illuminate when they've been depressed. Let's go ahead and move further to the right where you're going to find your mirror controls for the right and left mirror. Just beneath that, you'll find your radio system, Bluetooth, Sirius XM, CD, and also AM/FM weather band. Let's go ahead and move now to the operator's position. This is at the very top over the operator's head, just in forward of the front windshield. You'll find this placard, yellow, height 10 feet 4 inches, length 32 feet 4.5 inches, and a gross vehicle weight rating of 46,500 pounds. If you make any adjustments to your vehicle that may change any of these, please update this placard. Let's move just to the right. We'll find a set of switches here. You're going to find the emergency master switch, the roof light, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, upper rear warning, and high beam flash. And you do have a future switch location if you'd like to program that at a later time. Moving just to the right, you'll find an additional switch panel which houses the driver's side cab scene, driver's side body scene, passenger side body scene, and passenger side cab scene. The next set of switches, you'll find your front flood, rear scene light, a future switch, and also a load manager. Let's move now just to the right where you're going to find the Whelen siren and PA speaker system module. Moving further to the right, you'll find your traffic advisor. I would like to point that just beneath the traffic advisor in the center, you'll find this red puck style light indicating a do not move your apparatus. You have a compartment or door open. Also above that area, you'll find your digital readout for your pump pressure and also your water tank level. Located just in the front center area, you'll find your climate control. And just a quick look to the rear section, you'll find that center roll-up compartment door. Congratulations, Boulder City, on your new fire apparatus, job number 33783. If you have any questions regarding your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.